Giesinger, and today we are continuing our author read aloud of Xavie of Shamain. We are diving into part 4, covering chapter 4. If you're new here and want to stay updated on my writing journey, consider joining my newsletter at the link below. Last time, Yalonde and Xavie found the old healer and agreed on a pilgrimage. Now, let's see where it leads them next. Here is part 4. Chapter 4. Farming on Boreas in the 5th epoch is unlike the farming up to this time. With the regression to a society void of technology, any farm machinery, as far as it is available, is basic. Other than humanoid power, animal power is utilized. This can be horses, oxen, donkeys, and in some rare instances, goats. What implements are available need to be suitable for these power sources. The farms are typically small. The use of non-organic fertilization is not observed. Rather, a holistic or permacultural approach is employed. What is a waste product on one segment of the farm is another segment's need. This can be the grouping of plants like vegetable or fruits together to create mutually beneficial microenvironments. Another example could be combining a chicken coop with a greenhouse. During the winter months, the warmth emanating off the chicken helps heating the greenhouse, while the oxygen-carbon dioxide cycle is mutually beneficial. The proximity of the chicken makes it easy to feed surplus or unsuitable for consumption produce from the greenhouse. Chicken manure is highly suitable as fertilizer after composting. All is grouped together within a very short distance. The majority of agricultural output comes from the Berkeley Plains and is distributed throughout Boreas. While microscale optimization and complementation are lauded, larger-scale impact on the environment is absolutely not. As such, not even irrigation is observable on Boreas. Boreaspedia, 19th edition. 22nd August, 04, 5th epoch. Yalonde. The next morning, at sunrise, a hearty breakfast is ready for us as promised. If I take the experience in this camp as a gauge, I think it's safe to say we will not only be provided for on this pilgrimage, but provided well. After breakfast, I pack our few things while Halo looks after Xavie. As I emerge from our tent, ready to load Xavie into the carrying blanket, Halo presents Xavie with a youngster-sized version of my emblem staff. Xavie is gleefully excited and can't stop showing me his "Staff! Mom, staff!" Go figure. Xavie's first word was staff and his second word within a week is mom. This is surprising, as typically youngsters do not distinguish between themselves and their moms. This usually happens much later. Hence, naming and addressing a mom is uncommon and unexpected. It makes me grin that much more. After strapping Xavie's stuff to the backpack and loading Xavie into the carrying blanket, Halo leads us towards the fallen tree and then past it, onto the beginning of the small path leading into the foothills I noticed yesterday. A few steps in, Halo stops and points to 3 emblems. Each is carved into the top of a stone pedestal that reaches up to my hip and is made out of a black stone that looks like a glistening void. 2 stand on the left side of the path, 1 on the right. Now you must choose. These are the 3 options you have, Halo explains. Once you have made your choice, bring the emblem of your staff into close proximity with the emblem on top of the pedestal. Once both start to glow, the choice is activated. Choose with your instincts. Choose with your heart. Choose wisely. I gawk at Halo for a moment. Right. Choosing without knowing what I'm choosing or what the choice is. Not sure how this can be done wisely. I first look at the two on the left, then the one on the right. Nothing stands out, speaks to me. I move closer, touch each pedestal on the side close to the top with my left hand. Nothing. This is an impossible choice. I lay my hand onto the emblem on the top of each of the pedestals in turn. Still nothing. More by accident or perhaps coincidence, I move the staff I'm holding in my right hand into the vicinity of the lone pedestal on the right. There's a slight tinkle. I repeat this with the other two, and the tingling, while there, is much more muted. The emblem can be of help to you. It happens occasionally when the bearer or the youngster is closely attuned to Boreas. Halo supplies with a slight tilt to her head. I test this theory, and yes, the staff tingles much more when I hold it towards the pedestal on the right. I make my choice and move the emblem of the staff close to the emblem on the pedestal. A pulsating glow of both emblems accompanies the mild jolt of the staff that transfers into me where I stand. You make your choice. Your next station is activated and waiting for you. Follow this path and you will find your next host. I wish you both the best of success and that you find what you are looking for. Halo turns around without waiting for a response and saunters back to her camp. Thank you. I really appreciate your hospitality and the welcome you offered. I answer at her retreating back, unsure if she still hears me. Then I face the small path leading away from the grove and the foothill path into the wilderness that is the foothills proper. After taking a deep breath, we start the next part of our pilgrimage. The path went through what best could be described as a moderate jungle. From all sides, bushes are encroaching and trees have grown the last 2 or 3 decades to make passage with a cart near impossible. Although it is obvious, this has been a past use of this path. While it is evident the path is not used frequently or at all, it is still surprisingly manageable. True, there are a few spots that require a cut back the vegetation a bit, but all in all, it is not an issue that slows progress much. It must be getting around lunchtime, gauging by the sun and my hunger, when I notice a brightness up ahead. I haven't even noticed the trees getting bigger and the bushes taller the farther I went, dipping the whole environment into a gloomy twilight with only small blotches of the sky visible through the canopy. The farther I progress, the larger and brighter the area up ahead becomes. After cresting over a slightly elevated point in the path, I look down on what lays ahead. Through the trees and shrubs, I can see an open flat valley with what looks like a golden field. But that does not make any sense. Why would anybody cultivate a field up here in this remote area if there are far more accessible areas half a day down the path, just beyond the foothills? Nah, it can't be. I continue on, the path coming down from its elevation and hiding most of the open area behind the denser bushes. It takes us another 10 minutes to make our way to the edge of the forest, where I pause and take in the sight. I'm standing on the western edge, looking out on a flat area surrounded by ridges. This side, as far as I can see, is characterized by a mixed forest. The ridges to the east ahead and to the north, my left, are covered with coniferous forests. To the south, my right, are rolling hills covered by grasses or shrubs and only the occasional lone tree. The flat area looks out of place, as large as it is. Most of it is occupied by a field. I can now see that it is some sort of grain, full and ripe. It must be getting ready to be harvested. It shimmers in different hues of golden yellow as the midday breeze paints waves into the field. I stand and gawk. I gawk some more. I can't make sense of what I'm seeing. There is a field here in the middle of nowhere. Then I see it. It's not just a field. In the far right corner there is a farmstead and stable. At least one horse and a couple cattle and chicken. There are vegetable gardens and an orchard. Somebody is living here, with no access to the outside world. I stand and gawk and stand, trying to make sense of what I'm seeing. I figure it is probably my next station in the pilgrimage, assuming I understand Halo's explanations correctly. Nothing else would be sensical. I decide to check out the farmstead. As I approach, I smell a cooking fire. I lift my hand to knock on the door and a male voice calls, "Come on in, Yalonde." Odd. How do they know I'm here and my name? Does this mean? Yes, it probably means this is my next station. This is our pilgrimage. That's why they know. I step in through the door and find myself in a room that is a sitting and living area with a small fireplace, an eating corner and a kitchen all in one. It is friendly, cozy, and definitely not luxurious. It's a place I can see myself spending some time in. A male stands at the wood range and has his back turned to me. He looks a middle-aged stout from what I can see of him. "Have a seat," he says without turning. "Lunch will be ready in just a moment. You were right on time. My wife should be here any moment now." This is not normal, this familiarity. I have never experienced anything like this before. It's like we're part of the household, not someone who just has arrived for the first time. As if on cue, a middle-aged female stout enters from the hallway leading to the back of the house. "Hello, Yalonde, Xavie. Welcome." She walks over to the male, grabs him with one hand on his butt and pecks him on the cheek. Smells delicious. She gets some dishes and cutlery and brings them to the table. Okay, I guess. "I'm Greta. Did Soren point you to your room and bathroom to wash off the track?" I just shake my head, a bit overwhelmed. While it is common to offer hospitality in Shamain, on Boreas in general, it is usually not this familiar. Not a given to not have any reservations with total strangers. Typical. The moment he has his head in his pots, there is no room for any other thought. But the food is good, you will see. She winks at me, then links arms with me and guides me to the hallway she emerged out of. At that point, I decide to just go with it. Not sure there is another choice anyhow. On the way, she grabs my backpack and leads us halfway down the hall and then points to a door on the right. "This is your bedroom while you stay with us. It has an attached bathroom just for the two of you. I'd suggest you freshen up a bit and don't dwell too long. Soren is nearly done with his cooking and prefers everybody enjoy the meal when it's ready. Or should I say, when he's ready. Don't get me wrong, he's an absolute jewel unless we're talking about food. There he can be very, shall we say, particular. But you'll see his cooking makes up for it. Off you go." She definitely has a bubbly personality. I take my backpack and enter the room. It's far more spacious and comfortable than I expected. Taking Greta's word at face value, I do not linger long. A quick washing down of Xavie and myself has to do for right now. Within a couple minutes, we are back out at the table. And right on time, it appears. Soren places the last of the pots on the table as we approach. Shall we eat? He beams. Over lunch and during the conversation we have afterwards in front of the small but cozy lit fireplace, the two reveal that I will be learning about farming and beekeeping. I also glean I'll be spending some time here. How much will depend entirely on me, or more precisely on Xavie and me. Both emphasize that I need to listen to my intuition first and foremost. Having it laid out like this, it sinks in, and all of a sudden, the attached bathroom to the bedroom makes sense, even if it is unconventional. Time flies by, and Soren gets busy preparing some dinner. This too is exquisite, living up to Greta's promises. Once it is time for Xavie to go to bed, Soren volunteers to sing a lullaby and tuck him in. Out of the bedroom I can hear his melodic voice singing the lullaby. Schlaf, Kindlein, schlaf, der Vater hüt die Schaf, die Mutter schüttelt's Bäumelein, da fällt herab ein Träumelein. Schlaf, Kindlein, schlaf. Schlaf, Kindlein, schlaf, Feld aus Gold und Mauer aus Stein, Brot gebacken, Früchte und Gemüse fein, Honig im Bienenstock, golden und rein. Schlaf, Kindlein, schlaf. A different second verse. Makes sense to a degree, this being a different station. I guess I'll need to memorize or write down all the verses there will be. This makes a lullaby for everyone on this pilgrimage, and each will have their own personal one. Interesting. This shall become our ritual for our time at the farmstead. It only takes a couple of days for Xavie to recognize the lullaby, and he soon starts repeating single words from it. The next few weeks fly by, getting up before first light, getting ready for field work to make use of the daylight. We harvest the wheat, thresh it, mill the grain, and use the flour to bake bread. I learn about beekeeping, caring for the colony, maintaining the hives, harvesting honey. When we spot a swarming bee colony, we catch it and start a new hive. We plow the field and sow it for the next cycle through the year. The stones we find while plowing, we stack to the side of the field, using them later to build walls to break the wind, create barriers for animals, and make microclimates that extend the growing season by a few days in the area right in front of the wall. We are tending the vegetable gardens and the orchard, the flower beds which create a microcosm for all kinds of insects and other small animals. This microcosm is what makes the whole little farm possible, successful. Without it, nothing would work as intensely as it does. Come the winter months, we also prune the fruit, nut and almond trees in the orchard to guide their growth. Not surprising at all, Greta and Soren share their work as equals, on the farm, in the house, and each evening in the bedroom, audibly. And the food is astounding. While the meals might be simpler dishes, exclusively based on what the farm and gardens provide, they still taste like nothing I have eaten so far. Soren is an exceptional cook, and we are all more than willing to accept his particularity around food as long as we can have it. Xavie enjoys his time here. He is able to stand alone for some time, starts to feed himself with his spoon. Observing us stacking stones into walls, he starts stacking blocks to towers. He recognizes more words, and by October, he starts walking alone. I find the bees mesmerizing. Whenever I have a free moment, I'm observing their hive life. While the hive is comprised of individuals, and the individuals are dependent on the hive is not dependent on any single individual, not even the queen. There are always queen larvae available, ready to be hatched in case something renders the current queen ineffective. There are multiple functions for each type of bee, and every individual contributes in the way the hive as a whole needs at that moment. The bees demonstrate to us that everybody putting the hive, the whole, the tribe before the individual elevates the hive, and consequently everybody, as each individual is part of the hive. Reflecting on what I had planned for my life, traveling and learning about Boreas, I now have to admit this was putting myself as an individual first. Having Xavie and ending up on this pilgrimage led me to realize there must be a better way. A solution that allows me to contribute to the tribe, to Boreas first, and lets me travel only second. Astonishing what a beehive can teach you if you just allow yourself the time and openness to listen, observe, think, and learn. One particularly long and draining day, I work on my own with a pair of cattle at the far end of the field, moving heaps of stones. In the afternoon, all of a sudden I feel very uneasy, as if something is not right. I can't say what it is, have not the first idea what it could be, just that I need to get back to Xavie. I cut my day short and return to the farmstead to find Xavie bruised. Asking the two what happened, they say they are not entirely sure. Xavie has been vigorously striking blocks and stones all day. While they always had an eye on him, they did not notice how Xavie's stack of stones toppled over. They can't explain how that stack could have toppled over in the way it did. The stones were literally flying in all directions. Some bounced off the wall and the floor, striking Xavie. Initially, I am not that easily convinced to trust this explanation, intellectually. My intuition tells me there is no concern. After observing Xavie for some time around them both, and not seeing a change in Xavie's behavior or any hint of a hesitation or apprehension, I trust my intuition that there is no cause for alarm. It was just Xavie pushing to the point of getting himself injured by it. Observing him, recalling, I have to acknowledge it has been a long time since Xavie had one of his vacant, absent moments. Being busy and always having more to do makes time go by much faster. The days grow shorter, the weather colder and wetter. In a complete surprise, suddenly it is the Yule festival, and it feels like it's time to move on. By now, I also can observe this small farmstead, similarly to the beehive, is an interdependent system. Everything here has its place and function. It all works as well as it does, parts complementing each other exactly because the other parts are there also. Remove enough from this equilibrium and a domino effect starts with everything falling out of balance and collapsing. In a way, this again is a parable for life on Boreas, at every level, at the same time an example and a part of it. The day before the Yule festival, I announced to Greta and Soren that it's time for us to move on. We set the date for December 24th, 3 days after the Yule festival. The day following the Yule festival, Soren takes me out to check for emblems for our next stations. He repeats what Halo mentioned. What the next stations are and how many there might be to choose from entirely depends on me. Hence, we must go out and check. Walking around the edge of the entire farmstead, we find 3 of the same pedestals with an emblem on them. One appeared up on the barely noticeable path into the forest on the northern ridge, on the opposite side from the farmstead, about halfway down the length of the farm. The second showed up on the eastern side, close to the northern end, and the third on the southern side, about 1/3 the distance from the eastern end, close to the house. I have been here now for 4, almost 5 months. I'm certain I know the area, but I never noticed any of these pathways, nor the pedestals before, I asked Soren. Because you were not ready to move to your next station before. The both of you being ready made these pedestals and paths appear. What station each leads to is again dependent on you two. Each is a next step in your pilgrimage, but which you choose is only up to you. I digest this information. Nothing is set. Everything depends on us. This does not make sense in the regular world of Boreas, I know, but then this is our pilgrimage. There are hosts who set up campsites of burning fires and tents with only a word and a wave of their hand, or other hosts who live in the middle of nowhere and are totally content. I can accept that. Will any other paths show up, or is this it? I ask, trying to understand the rules. All options for you show up at the same time. There will be no more coming. During the rest of the day and several times the following day, I visit all pedestals in turn. I figure my intuition should kick in and tell me which is the right choice. But nothing triggers any epiphany, nor does the stuff react this time. The evening before we will leave, we are cooking a meal fancier than any we had all the time since we arrived here. It starts with a baked sweet onion soup made from fresh onions out of the vegetable garden, then a honey roasted chicken followed by bienenstich, an old-time off-desert cake Soren bakes. It's a fluffy yeast dough bottom, vanilla cream topped with another layer of dough and a mixture of almonds and glazed with honey. Xavie manages in an impressive way to make a mess out of eating his bienenstich. After dinner, our hosts present us with a fresh loaf of bread and a glass of honey. For Xavie, Greta has crafted a couple dolls out of the straw we harvested earlier and soon clothes out of the leftovers from Xavie's two small outfits. I knew she was a talented seamstress, as she altered Xavie's clothes when they got too small, or Xavie too big, depending on the point of view. But these doll clothes are something else entirely. I still have not decided which is the right path to choose. After Xavie is in bed, I sit outside, staring into the distance without seeing anything. I ask myself if there is a wrong choice, and this brings me to the idea to ask which of the options is not the right one. The one on the southern side is the winner there. I guess we can eliminate this one. Given the choice between the northern and the eastern, or northeastern, it is suddenly obvious. Content with my decision, I return inside. You made your choice. Not a question, a statement of facts by Greta. Yes, I did, I confirm. Turns out, making a choice can be done by removing choices. I know where to go tomorrow. Very well. I take it you want to retire for the night? Soren asks. I think so, unless there is something that needs discussing, I quiz him. Nothing left to discuss. Have a good night, Greta answers. Good night, and thank you. I mean it and nod at them both. And that brings us to the end of today's reading. Did you expect this turn of events? I'd love to hear your theories on what comes next for Yalonde and Xavie in the comments below. If you want to explore more of this world, don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter at the link in the description. It's where I share all my secret projects and early updates first. Next time in part 5, we'll see which pedestal Yalonde chooses and where it will lead them. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it, or click the playlist right here to catch up on episodes in advance. Peace.